We appreciate you taking time out of your day so you can plan to retire well. Coming up this week on Retiring Well, John and I sit down and we talk about the fear of running out of money. That wallet expiring before you do. What are some of the things to look at? And a really interesting example here from Northern Michigan that we saw in the office recently to talk through that. Then, how could Social Security be improved? What are some ideas that are being floated around out there to help the longevity of it, to help the payout, and help those that are taking it? Then, we're honored to have a special guest join us. From the Marshall and Bruce law firm here in Northern Michigan, Luke Pickelman is going to be coming in and talking about powers of attorney, those POA things that you've heard of. There's some recent changes happening in that industry and stuff that you need to be aware of and making sure you're planning for your future and your loved one's future. And then to wrap up the show here this week, we're going to be talking about what does it mean for lower interest rates and the effects that that could have on retirees or soon-to-be retired individuals. All of this and so much more coming up here right now on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well. Plan to retire well.
We appreciate you joining John and I here on another segment of Coffee Talk here on Retiring Well. Today, I want to take a little bit of time and talk about some fears that are out there. You know, there's a lot of things happening in the world, good, bad, or indifferent, but specifically speaking, the retirement fears. And recently heard a statistic that got me thinking, and they said, retirees are more fearful of running out of money than actually dying. So that was pretty alarming, and it's very understandable. You know, that fear of that wallet, that money pot expiring before you do, and what would you do?
Yeah, I mean, fear of running out of money. I wonder about public speaking too, or talking on camera. That must be up there as well. But either way, yeah. When we have conversations with folks, it's helpful. We use a system where actually we like to plug in. Hey, what's your income look like? What are your assets? And then we factor in expenses and inflation and all that. And it's a really helpful tool. It sort of amazes us as we enter this information for our clients to sort of map out, hey, what do the next 30, 40 years look like for you as best as we can try and project and sort of see that maybe you're not going to run out of money. And you just sort of get that sense as people see that relief that they have, because it is a concern. I mean, that's as people are looking at the finances, they don't really know. They may look at a number and they say, well, it's a pretty big number that I've saved, but I don't know what that really means for me in retirement.
Yeah, absolutely, John. You know, as you're talking about plugging in numbers, it makes me think, you know, this is what we do all day, every day. And so when we're looking at these and we see things and start talking to this, it reminds me is that you are an expert in doing what you do, right? You know, you've probably worked 30 years in your industry, and I wouldn't have any clue of how to do something specific, whether you're an engineer, whether you're doing something in manufacturing, or you name it, what it is. So I want to paint a picture here of somebody that recently walked in. They were from the Grayling area and had worked for their employer for about 30 years. And they had a massive fear of running out of money, and it was causing kind of a paralyzation of their next step in life that they wanted to do, which was retirement and do some very fun things with the gentleman and his spouse. So both 62 years old. Again, they were living in the Grayling area, and we met in our Gaylord office here in Northern Michigan, and they wanted to retire that year, both at 62. He had worked with his employer for almost 30 years, had a pension. That pension was approximately $1,800 a month. That was going to be payable for his life, and there was a joint survivorship on that. They each had Social Security. So between pension and Social Security, they had about $5,000 of income they knew was going to be coming in from that. When we challenged them and had them look through their budget and see what expenses and what they needed to live on, they come back and said, hey, we really want to have $6,000. We think that will pay our bills, that will give us the money to do the things we want to do in retirement and live comfortably at that. So there was a $1,000 shortfall there. Well, this gentleman, through the work of his employer, had saved $400,000 in a 401k. And then his wife, who had kind of worked part-time on and off, raising the family and doing different things, had about $70,000 saved in an old 401k there. So about $470,000. Well, to generate that $1,000 that they needed to meet that need is a little less than a 4% withdrawal rate when you factor in some taxes and stuff coming out of that. So like John talked about earlier, when we entered all this in the system, we start putting that in visualization, you can see that stress just start to melt away and knowing this is going to be okay. Like we have a very good shot of having a successful retirement, doing the things we're dreaming of, and not running out of money.
Yeah, and I think that's that joy that we have when we're working with folks, is to be able to see that sense of relief once they can sort of tell that, okay, these assets, I'm not going to outlive these assets, and I know they're going to be there. And there's different ways that different advisors will structure that. And so you want to walk through that. I know here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, we're an independent firm, and we're able to look at a lot of different investment options. We're also have different licensed insurance agents, so we can look at different insurance types of products to sort of see, okay, what makes the most sense for you in your overall plan. But one of the key words that Art also dropped in there is taxes, and that's part of what we do to help our clients, is also consider what are the tax implications of drawing assets from one place or another. And that's something I think that's a little bit unique about how we approach things. So if you're in a situation where you're concerned about running out of money and want to set up a plan, please give us a call and let us help you plan to retire well.
You've worked hard. Plan to retire well. The success of your retirement depends on a sound plan. If you are retired or nearing retirement, we invite you to an informative live event to help you plan to retire well. There is no cost and no obligation, and dinner is on us. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial professionals specializing in retirement planning and serving all of northern Michigan, with offices in Traverse City, Gaylord, Petoskey, and Cadillac. Our presentation will address important topics such as inflation isn't dead yet, how are you protecting your retirement income, Social Security shortfall, when was the last time you stress tested your retirement plan, how potential tax changes could affect your retirement income, what portfolio moves can you make to protect your assets in bumpy markets, smart estate planning to minimize taxation, and much more. Call 888-608-5825 or register online and choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, April 1st at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City. Wednesday, April 2nd at Lakeside Charlie's in Cadillac. Or Thursday, April 3rd at Treetops Hunter's Grill in Gaylord. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow, but seating is limited and tends to fill quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or register online to reserve your seats today. Don't miss this important live event to help you plan to retire well. Living life isn't always easy. It puts up challenges and obstacles you'll have to overcome. There are responsibilities. You put in effort to provide and take care of your family, and to save and invest, to balance work and life. Planning is the first step to succeeding. Plan to retire well. In our ongoing effort to provide quality financial education, we are now offering a free downloadable white paper titled Tax Strategies for Retirement. Learn about tax reduction strategies that can help you reduce your liability and increase your cash flow. Simply go to cen-wealth.com, scroll down and click the link Tax Strategies for Retirement to receive your free copy of our valuable and informative white paper, Tax Strategies for Retirement.
In our segment today, we are going to look at ways Social Security could be improved. Before we look at ways it could be improved, though, we need to discuss what is wrong with Social Security and why changes need to be made. First, we're going to look at what Social Security is and why it is so important. Social Security is the cornerstone of U.S. economic security policy. Social Security touches the lives of nearly every person nationwide, from the 183 million workers paying into the system to the 67 million retirees, survivors, disabled workers, and their family who are receiving benefits. In the 88 years since its passage, Social Security has been tremendously successful, providing a foundation of income in retirement, dramatically reducing poverty, and financially protecting workers and their families against the financial risk of premature death or disability. Social Security is the largest source of income for most retirees. For 4 in 10 retirees, Social Security provides at least half of their income. And for 1 in 7, it provides at least 90% of their income. Social Security benefits are much more modest than many people realize. The average retirement benefit is about $1,800 per month, or about $22,000 per year. For a person with average earnings retiring at age 65, Social Security benefits will replace about 37% of past earnings, and that is before the Medicare premiums are deducted. So what is wrong with Social Security? Generations of Americans have relied on Social Security as a key source of retirement income. But the entitlement program faces serious financial challenges that, if left unaddressed, could leave it unable to pay scheduled benefits in full starting in 2033. The Social Security program has paid out more money than it received in taxes since 2010. Trustees that oversee Social Security's finances say that the program's reserve funds will be exhausted in less than 10 years if no action is taken. The Social Security Act was signed by FDR on August 14, 1935, and regular ongoing monthly benefits started in January of 1940. We could look at a lot of different reasons for why Social Security is in trouble, but the one I'm going to focus on in this segment is life expectancy. In 1940, the life expectancy for a man was 61 years old, and for a woman it was 65 years old. In 2025, the life expectancy for a man is 75 years old, and for a woman it is 80 years old. The normal retirement age for Social Security was set at age 65 when benefits first started being paid in 1940. Remember, in 1940, life expectancy for a man was 61 years old, and for a woman, it was 65. So obviously, some people died before they ever received any Social Security benefits, and those who did live long enough to receive them, they didn't live as long receiving those same benefits. In the present time, people can start receiving benefits between the ages of 62 and 70. The benefit amount is less if you decide to pull your benefits at an earlier age. In 2025, the average life expectancy for a man is 75 and for a woman is 80. So if we assume that a person starts pulling their benefits at age 65 like they did in 1940, you can clearly see the problem. People are living much longer on average, and that means they are receiving their Social Security benefits for many years beyond what was being paid out in 1940. The situation is complex, and life expectancy is not the only problem, but it is absolutely a part of the problem. So what are some possible solutions? At the most basic level, the Social Security Administration really has two options. One, they can pay out less in benefits. Two, they can take in more revenue through taxes to cover the shortfall. That's a simple explanation, I know, of a complex problem, but at the core, that's the real issue. We don't have enough tax revenue coming in to cover the payments going out for Social Security. We work with a lot of clients, and Social Security is something we discuss frequently with those clients. I don't have many clients who would be excited about their benefits being reduced, and I also don't know many clients who are still working who want to pay more into taxes to cover the Social Security deficit. So Social Security has a money problem, and as I have shared, they don't have enough money coming in to cover their payments. I've seen a lot of ideas presented to improve Social Security, and I will share some of them now. An option presented often is to raise the retirement age. This would require retirees to wait longer before receiving their benefits. Another idea is they could reduce the benefit for future retirees. Something else that's been discussed to reduce is to reduce the COLA, or cost of living adjustment. We hope you enjoyed this information we shared today in our program. If you would like to set up a time to meet to discuss Social Security or another financial topic related to your retirement, we would be happy to meet with you.
It's your retirement. How will you live it? How will you be remembered?
Will you be able to take me on vacation? Will you be there for my ball games?
Will you teach me your values? You'll be able to play with me.
Will help me go to college. How will I remember you?
Have the retirement you dream about. Contact us today. When it comes to your financial future, what's the value of a truly objective opinion? As someone looking for financial guidance, you have choices. There are thousands of captive financial professionals who work as employees for large national insurance companies and brokerages. There are also many independent financial professionals who aren't bound to any given insurance company, investment strategy, or product. So what's the difference, and why does it really matter to you? Consider this. If you walked into a doctor's office with a sore throat, a bad cough, and a high fever, you'd expect that doctor to assess your symptoms, do a thorough diagnosis, and ultimately hand you a prescription written to cure your particular ailment. In other words, you'd expect the doctor to consider all the medications available and give you his or her absolute best thinking on what's best for you. On the other hand, if that doctor opened the cupboard and only had 3 or 4 prescriptions available, maybe those offered by his or her favorite pharmaceutical rep, most patients would immediately raise an eyebrow, suspicious that they might not be getting what was really in their best interest. The same may be true for your financial well-being. If your financial professional is an employee who's contractually bound to represent a given insurance or investment company, only offering their products while there are literally hundreds of others available, how sure can you be that you're being offered what's truly best for your situation? You don't walk into a tailor or seamstress shop to get clothing off some rack. You go for a custom-tailored fit. And with something as important as your financial future at hand, the stakes are even higher. We believe you deserve a truly objective opinion. We think you deserve to consider more of the available options. And we believe your financial future is worth a custom-tailored prescription to help you feel confident for the days ahead. If you'd like a second opinion on your current retirement strategy, simply contact our office today.
I'm excited to have Luke Pickelman, an estate planning attorney, here with us today as we dive into powers of attorneys and what that looks like. But Luke and I go back several years. Kids went to school together, and then even as 40-plus-year-old guys, we attempt to play basketball still. So we do our best. But Luke, give us a little background on your history as an attorney.
Well, sure. Thanks, John. Thanks for having me. I've been an attorney for about 17 years, about 12 years here in Traverse City. Focus is estate planning, also some general business matters.
Yeah, no, that's great. And as we're talking about these powers of attorney and everything, you've probably seen the POA as it's referred to commonly. So sort of give us a background. What is it and why is it important?
Sure. Powers of attorney documents are essential to any sort of estate plan. What these documents are is, while you are capable, you nominate an agent to advocate on behalf and make decisions for you when you cannot. This is important because, and no one likes to really think about this, but the fact of the matter is that there may be a time when, be it an accident, illness, or just general mental decline, we see it all the time, you're not going to be able to make these decisions and take care of your private business matters.
And again, Luke, this falls not just like for us, I think of a lot of times with the financial matters, but then you've also got on the health side. So you got two different sides.
Yeah, the durable power of attorney allows your agent to access your bank accounts, pay your bills, pay your taxes, if you can't do it. The healthcare power of attorney authorizes your advocate to make healthcare decisions when you are incapable of doing so. This is very important stuff to think about.
Yeah, most definitely, and it's one of those documents that's vital to have, especially as you get older and need to have that in place to help you along the way, especially if there's family members, and I know that gets to be a whole nother topic of who to choose for that position.
And that's a good point to make. It provides clarity to your loved ones on what you want. The person that you picked needs to be someone that you trust. Also, they need to be ready, willing, and able to be able to perform this function. Talking with an attorney to help clarify and pick out who this agent or advocate can be is a really important thing.
Yeah, I've come across situations where, well, we've got our kid that lives down in Florida and everything, and they would definitely be the person to probably make those decisions, but it's really challenging, right, when maybe you're here in Michigan and they're in Florida to be authorized to make those.
Correct. Not only do you want your documents to be drafted properly, but you need to select an individual who would make the process expedient and effective, you know.
Yeah. And so then with the power of attorney, I know you were trying to explain it to me earlier, but there's these new laws in place that are out there now, and talk a little bit about that and what that means for those that are watching.
Right. In 2023, Michigan updated its power of attorney law, and it took effect in July of last year. So, of course, our documents at Marshall and Bruce reflect all these changes, but what the law does is first it makes powers of attorney more accessible to the individuals with a statutory form. Just because there's a statutory form, though, you should still consult with an attorney to make sure that everything is in place properly. But what's important about this new law is it clarified for banks and financial institutions on when they cannot recognize it. We've had a lot of situations where, be it ambiguous drafting or just some things were misplaced in the document, the banks would kick it out and not allow the agent to act on behalf of the principal. And that's a big problem when you need to pay bills, when you need to administer a trust, when you need to make these decisions for the principal. So Michigan law now is very clear, and when the financial institutions can rely now on these documents effectively.
Yeah, so true. Like within the financial industry like we're in, or especially with banks and everything, if you're that power of attorney, I mean, you need that authorization to then have access to the bank accounts to, like you said, cover the bills. Have you come across situations where the banks aren't allowing whatever documents, old documents maybe?
It happens all the time. A lot of people in Traverse City, they're from other states, and so the documents from other states may not have the right language that makes the process easy in Michigan. Okay. Also, if you don't have this in place, I should point out, a power of attorney, the courts are going to decide who this is through a conservator or a guardian process. And this is not only is it not expedient, but the courts don't know your situation like you do. And so what you want to do is make sure that you have that agent in place to make sure that this is someone that knows your situation and that you trust.
Yeah, and so if you have questions about this, give Luke a call at Marshall and Bruce. We'll give you the information on the screen, and there's so much valuable information that you can learn from them and hopefully avoid those potential mistakes.
You've worked hard. Plan to retire well. The success of your retirement depends on a sound plan. If you are retired or nearing retirement, we invite you to an informative live event to help you plan to retire well. There is no cost and no obligation, and dinner is on us. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial professionals specializing in retirement planning and serving all of northern Michigan, with offices in Traverse City, Gaylord, Petoskey, and Cadillac. Our presentation will address important topics such as inflation isn't dead yet, how are you protecting your retirement income, Social Security shortfall, when was the last time you stress tested your retirement plan, how potential tax changes could affect your retirement income, what portfolio moves can you make to protect your assets in bumpy markets, smart estate planning to minimize taxation, and much more. Call 888-608-5825 or register online and choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, April 1st at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City. Wednesday, April 2nd at Lakeside Charlie's in Cadillac. Or Thursday, April 3rd at Treetops Hunter's Grill in Gaylord. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow, but seating is limited and tends to fill quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or register online to reserve your seats today. Don't miss this important live event to help you plan to retire well.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
In our ongoing effort to provide quality financial education, we are now offering a free downloadable white paper titled Tax Strategies for Retirement. Learn about tax reduction strategies that can help you reduce your liability and increase your cash flow. Simply go to cen-wealth.com, scroll down and click the link Tax Strategies for Retirement to receive your free copy of our valuable and informative white paper, Tax Strategies for Retirement.
So a recent hot topic in our office has been talked about a lot is how are retirees going to be affected by a low interest rate environment? So let's get into that a little bit. So lower interest rates can play a significant role in retirees and their income because they do use a lot of investment vehicles that have a lot of fixed interest in there. Specifically savings accounts, certificate of deposits, and stuff like that. So let's get into that a little bit. Now let's say that you have $500,000 in your savings account and you're used to having about $20,000 in interest annually. What if that's cut in half and now you have $10,000 to bridge that gap? So are you going to pull from your maybe from your principal on that, or are you going to scale back on your expenses? So that's a big question to ask. I know a recent client came into the Traverse City office and she had a lot of concerns because she uses a laddered CD approach, and so she'll collect that interest as she goes on every year, and at the end of probably next year she won't be able to do that with as much interest as she has been accruing. So we were able to not have her eggs all in one basket and diversify that a little bit while we were in the office and put together a comprehensive plan that she was comfortable with. She also had tax questions on whether or not she was being tax efficient with her investments as she was with those laddered CDs. Also, retirees might feel pressured into investing in more riskier investments like stocks or even real estate. And I would encourage you, if you're not working with a licensed professional, to really wait for a second and talk to someone on whether or not that would be a good idea. Because in a bear market, you might have those market downswings that you're not comfortable with fully. So what's the solution here? So we did talk about a little bit on diversification, and that's definitely something that there's products out there that might not be talked about as much, that you could talk to a licensed advisor, especially here in the Traverse City office. Now, tax efficiency, that's something to talk about as well. So like Roth IRAs, they could shelter a little bit of those tax consequences, and that might be something that you could look into. Another thing to think about is in the low tax environment, you might be able to refinance your mortgage and be able to get a better interest rate, and then your payments will get a little bit better for you, and that'll help with missing out on some of the interest that you were getting before. So in conclusion, there's a lot of things that you can do, and I would encourage you to maybe stop into the Traverse City office and maybe talk to a licensed advisor on where those facets in your retirement plan could be tweaked a little bit in a lower interest rate environment.